impromptu. Yeah. I did. I asked you to take some time away from your family to come hang out with me on the internet, and it was a failure of epic proportions. I guess we'll just put it that way. Oh, stop. Super TA, third time's a charm. That's right, sir. Appreciate that. Well, I don't know how much educating I do. I just kind of I repeat things that I hear and that I read. I guess in a sense you can say that's educating, but it's more it's not like I'm actually experienced in what I'm talking about, right? It's just something that I just like to pass along the information, vlog style. It's not, and it really hasn't been that cold. We've had a couple of cold days, but like I was mentioning before, we dropped off the other one. The tornadoes we had here were absolutely crazy, and glad to see that you guys are doing all right. I think the surrounding areas around you, Weldon Spring, St. Charles area, really took a big hit, and that's not really that far from where you're at around town. Yeah. Speaking of collapsed, apparently your mic is Super TA says no audio. I'm assuming they can hear me, but we're not getting any audio from you. I
Can
don't
you
know if
can you
you need
hear
to
me
make.
now? You should be hearing me now. Yes, you are. Son of a gun. See,
Yeah, I heard you all
I know
along.
you did, but I had myself muted on the streamings.
On
Yeah,
OBS. Yeah. Yeah. So just the cliff notes. There was a tornado here. Ben's fine. I'm fine. He was downtown. All's well,
yeah,
except for the Amazon facility and some houses that got leveled here in town,
right.
which uh, the lawn warrior who was on the Thirsty Thursday show on Thursday night with the crew with Matt and Ryan and Ray. That's always a fun time. That was actually my first. I guess it really wasn't my first stream. I was on the Princess Cut Lawn Care freshman class, was sort of my first stream, and then um, I did a show with the Keep Off the Grass guys. I was on a show, and then you, and then I joined that show, and that's a kind of where I like getting to know Ryan and Ray a little bit more. Kind of really just kind of really blew open my understanding of treating turf grass and the differences between fertilizers and different nitrogen types. Because I mean, once that thing, that whole premise of when you're looking at a fertilizer label and you have no idea what you're looking at, once you actually understand the sources, it's like a light bulb goes off, and you almost feel like a mad scientist. You go in and make your own. I think you've been through a lot of that too with your journey into getting that pH down and then using different types of nitrogen sources that are actually viable. I think you kind of went down that road too and looking at it when you realize, man, this isn't really that difficult. It's pretty simple once you break it down, you know?
Yeah, and it I would say I kind of got forced into learning about that because of the pH stuff. Because I don't know if I would have actually really paid attention to the sources of nitrogen prior to any of that because when I was learning more about it and all that kind of stuff, that's when I was told, you need to start just using your or getting your primary source of nitrogen from AMS and all those types of things. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I actually paid attention to what was on labels and bags, and not that I didn't pay attention to before, but I paid more closely attention to what was actually in the bags and what kind of more understood what things were and those types of things. So
Right, and when you're looking at a fertilizer bag now, you can clearly point out like no, like this is not a good product just based on the label versus something else that is okay. This is something that's a good product, not necessarily from a broad spectrum, right?
mm-hmm.
Good and bad, but for the type of application that you want, what's going to be the best option for you? And that is really kind of, I mean, I went down this whole rabbit hole of I'm going to buy my nitrogen sources on their own, right? I've got urea, I have ammonium sulfate, I have methylene urea, and then I have sulfate of potash, just like all separated. And I'm applying those things singularly instead of buying it like in a just a bag on its own. Which when I when I was doing YouTube videos on that this year, people were watching it and saying like, "Oh my God, we got like people are doing chemistry projects in their driveway with this stuff." And it's really not that. It's not that complicated. It's just I'm taking these different types of nitrogen sources, and I'm melting them down, dissolving them into water, and putting them on my lawn. Anybody can do it. It's so easy, and you save tons of money by doing it that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's I do like spraying, but and mixing things up that way. There definitely is a con to it all. For me at least, it's just more time consuming because you're mixing, you're measuring, you're measuring. I at least measure. I seem to be more specific when I'm doing liquid stuff than I am maybe granular. But granular stuff, you just throw it out in the lawn, blow it off the sidewalks, streets, and you're good to go. Whereas spraying, like I usually, it's just cleaning more. There's more cleanup, I guess, afterward that
Right.
isn't always the most convenient for families. So
Well, the stuff on the sidewalks and the streets are what I don't like about granular
sure,
applications. It's more of like a mental thing, like when I'm spraying, I know that with my spray pattern, everything that I'm spraying is getting exactly where I want it to
right,
go. And cleaning out a tank is no fun, right? Taking care of the sprayer is no fun. When you're chucking, dry material into a spreader and you're going out and you're spreading, it's easy. It's virtually no maintenance at that point. But I don't know how much overlap I'm getting. I don't know how much is going into the sidewalk. And then when you blow it from the sidewalk, it goes into the crack between the grass and the sidewalk. And then you got tons of
yeah,
fertilizer in the crack. And to me, it's just like a mental thing because I know it's there. It's like that one thing in your house. Like you do a project and you kind of cut a corner in one spot and it's there, but like other people don't notice it. It's that mental thing where like I'm always looking at it thinking, it's like when you paint and you get a little bit on the ceiling and no one else sees it, you're like, I know that paint's there and it's bothering me.
yeah.
They're telling me I did a fantastic job, but I know I didn't.
Well,
You know?
I specifically will spend a good amount of time making sure I get stuff out of the cracks for that exact purpose because I was like, well, I put this on the lawn. I want to make sure it gets on the lawn and not in the cracks or something. But it's not like I can get everything. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Um, but yeah, there's a couple times I did some granular applications this year, and it was just I don't know. I don't. It was good to change it up a little bit. But I actually think I fell back speaking of just applications and fertilizing, this last fall, I don't think I kept up with my nitrogen applications very well. I know, like for the year, I ended up putting down, I think, like just under 3 pounds of nitrogen, and I was trying to, I think it was like 2 3/4 or something like that ended up being. And the lawn, I don't know. There's a couple things that could have played a factor into it, maybe going a little bit dormant sooner this year than it did last year. I'm thinking it could have been because I maybe didn't wasn't as consistent at making a number of applications of nitrogen throughout the fall, and it could have been we got really dry. I mean, we've been dry for a while. We weren't getting any moisture. I cut off the irrigation because we just had to get it blown out because I don't have a compressor. So I was at the mercy of the guy that I have come out and do it. Um, and we just weren't getting any rain either because rain helps way more than the actual irrigation system. And then I think the last straw was just like, and you know this, Brandon. We had a number of days where it got really cold. Like it was pretty like a decent drop to freezing temperatures over a very short period of time. And I think that just
Right.
nipped the grass in the bud a little bit, and that just probably was the straw that broke the camel's back and made it go dormant a little bit sooner this year. That just was one thing on top of the other things I just mentioned. So I don't know.
Yeah, the irrigation, I've got in my lawn, I've got an irrigation system, albeit it's old. It was installed when the house was built in the early 90s. But with regards to the rain, I think there's the old saying in the auto mechanic industry that there's no replacement for displacement, and I kind of feel like the rain is kind of like the engine displacement. There's just there's no better way than just some natural rain. And then the rainwater contains all kinds of trace elements of things that you just don't get with city water. And depending on where you live, you may have city water that has really high pH, and it could be causing some issues. So, with irrigation, I really try to kind of, how to explain it, like when I got my smart irrigation timer, the beehive. What's cool about those smart timers is it really tries to work around rain schedules. So like if it knows it's going to rain or it did rain, the beehive knows when it rained and how much rain we got, and then it will back off on the amount of city water that you're putting out, which is something I didn't realize. There's all kinds of settings you can play with. I don't know if the ratio does that too. I think the ratio is probably even a little bit more in the weeds than say the beehive is, but I mean, to me that was pretty cool. But from a place where you and I live, right here in St. Louis, um, we have no idea what the weather's going to be like day to day, much less a month down the road. And people always ask me, because I complain about the weather and the climate here all the time in my YouTube videos, and I get comments from people every once in a while. I'll say, well, I mean, it's not that bad. You're right in the middle of the country, but what people don't realize about St. Louis is, we're right in the middle, right right in the middle of the country. There's no mountains or bodies of water around us at all, right, to regulate temperature. Where, if you're out west, there's a lot of mountains. Out east, there's mountains. If you're coastal, you got, the breeze that comes in and drops the humidity down. But when you're right in the middle of the country, and in the summer, we get all of that hot air that comes up through the middle of the country, has nowhere to go. I mean, it brings the heat and humidity. And then in the winter, we get everything from the north that comes down, the polar vortex, they call it, right? So we get like over 100 in the summer. We get really cold temperatures in the winter. So there's really nothing to regulate all of those temperatures, and that's why our lawns just get decimated in the summertime.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes out of the consideration for people when they look at the climates of where they're growing grasses. What sorts of natural elements do you have that are regulating temperatures? Because from Arkansas to even Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, even up to Iowa, where Ryan Norris is. I mean, he gets pretty hot up there in the summer, and his ryegrass seems to do pretty well. So I mean, that's the big thing about growing grass here compared to other places, is that it's just so difficult because The weather's unpredictable. The only thing we know is it's going to be really hot and it's going to get really cold, and that's pretty much it.
Well, and that's why I would. I honestly think some turf professionals wouldn't probably agree with me, but I really hope a Bermuda. They develop a Bermuda that can withstand the cold winters we get. I've heard Tahoma 31 potentially maybe can. There's still people are testing it out and whatever. But I honestly think Bermuda would be awesome to have if it could if it truly can sustain through winters and stuff like that because I mean you're not going to deal with disease pressure in Bermuda because we don't it's not you don't have the extremes that you have down
Right.
south with it. So literally it would be a very low maintenance grass that you are mowing, watering and just giving it some nitrogen and those types of things. So I don't know, like that would be really cool. I know your green up's going to be slow. It's going to go dormant first. I know all those types of things, but maintenance wise, when you have 3 kids and one on the way, it just sounds really appealing to not have to make all the different applications with fungicides and those types of things. So
Yeah, but there's always a cost, right?
sure.
Where you would save money and frustration and time and disease pressure potentially, right? You can't say that you never will. Your Bermuda is going to be brown until almost June, right? And then mid-September, it's brown again.
But I
So
don't
you're
know about the almost June thing because when I did it in the old house, when I had the common Bermuda there, I know every different cultivar is going to be different. It greened up quicker than you may have expected. Um,
Yeah, I'm basing that off of some of the wild Bermuda. I have like 3 or 4 lawns in my neighborhood that are 100% wild Bermuda. It's not even common. It's wild Bermuda. It's horrifying to look at. Next time you're out this way, I'll show them to you. But I mean, they're brown like most of the year. It's they do turn. You could call it green, right? It's more of a like an emerald
yep.
green. Um, Kind of in the middle of the summer in July and August, those lawns are popping, right? But then by the end of September, they got zebra stripes, and I was just reading the chat, the one where it says they use Tahoma 31 um, in Philly, and I think I could be wrong. I think they use Tahoma 31 in Lambeau Field too, up in Green Bay, where it gets incredibly cold. Um, I could be wrong about that. I think I did read about that, but um, there are a couple of cold tolerant Bermuda varieties. Tahoma 31 is one of them, and then the other one is Iron Cutter. And we have a grower here that's just like 10 minutes from my house on the Illinois side that grows Iron Cutter. And so I'm planning on going there and taking a look. And that leads me to a question I was going to ask you over on my stream is if you had to pick a grass type and you could only pick this grass type, you had to stick with it forever, but you had to pick one. What grass type are you going with?
Right now, it's going to be Bermuda.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad decision. I don't. I mean, just for all of the reasons that you stated, right? It's especially for where we live, because you could always paint it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there's good turf paint out there. You could literally force it green by painting it, and then if you wanted to get some cool season action, you can always overseed it with rye in the
that's
fall,
right.
and that would definitely lead you down the real mowing rabbit hole that you haven't quite adapted yet. But I mean, that gives you some flexibility
Well,
there.
and I was pretty happy with how it looked, how that Bermuda looked when I was mowing it as low as I possibly could, uh, well with my rotary mower. It was probably about an inch and a half, and it looked great. I mean, when I took the manual reel over it, it was obviously on another level. But if I had a full entire lawn, like let's say I had my lawn right now, 9,000 square feet. If it was all Bermuda, I would still rotary mow. I wouldn't try to reel mow. I might play around with a small section. I'm not going to lie, but I would rotary mow probably an inch and a half, and maybe take it down as low as it possibly could on the rotary and leave it at that. And Because then if long term when I actually have time, I'm already I'm already getting the I'm already in the gist of like mowing frequently. Now I'm just changing the type of mower, and I'm already kind of halfway there, if you want to call it halfway.
Right.
So I don't know. That's why I would, I wouldn't necessarily switch over to real mowing if I had all Bermuda at this point in time in my life. Which I want to answer David Barron's question. He asked where the video's been. Um, I haven't really been able to make time for making videos this year. I'm homeschooling my 5 and 3 year old now. We got our baby number 4 is due in January, and I just kind of took a step back from everything because I just needed to give more time to my kids and my family, and recording and editing videos. It takes time, especially I like to put a good amount of effort into filming and record and editing, and I didn't I don't like to skimp on the quality of things, at least the quality from what I'm capable of. If I know I'm capable of doing something, I want to try to make it that high of quality. So that's why I kind of toned the videos back down this year. Just didn't have the time, and so I hope to get back to it. Maybe I don't know. I can't really even say a time frame because with number 4 coming, that's just another.
Coming live in 2024, Ben the Lawn Guardian makes his
Yeah,
triumphant
yeah.
return to YouTube. No,
I
I totally get it. It's life gets in the way, and on the list of priorities, YouTube is pretty low on that list.
Yeah,
you
because
know,
this is still a hobby for me. It's not a business. I'm not trying to turn it into a business, and um, that's so. I may try to next year. I've just thought about like maybe I just need to tone it back to maybe a video a month rather than trying to do a video every 2 weeks or something like that. Because if you ever start making videos on YouTube, you get in a mindset like because you're seeing whatever everybody else is doing. You're like, oh, they're doing it frequent, so I guess I need to do it frequent too. And that's what the algorithm tells me I need to do in order for to get more views and to get more people and those types of things. So it's easy to get sucked into um that realm of things when you start making videos. But I just need to get past that and just say, all right, this is what I can do. This is all I can do. I can only make 12 videos this year, maybe less. Maybe it's only going to be 10. So maybe next year I'll do a video a month, maybe a video every other month, and then the other month I'll just do a live stream or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll play around with it. I'm just trying to figure it out and get my there's other priorities right now that have been taking place. So
I get it. And if you're doing YouTube because you like it, you're not chasing the sub count or the view count or in my case, I've never had time to try and manipulate algorithms or anything. It's not something that I don't spend countless hours making thumbnails. It's something that I just don't have time to do. It when it came down to doing YouTube and actually starting a YouTube channel, I basically did it because people were asking me tons of questions about my lawn, right? And the only response I had, just kind of in short, was, "Well, I'm out here like every day,
yeah,
right?" And but people really wanted to know, like, no, what are you actually doing? And I was getting those questions more often. So I was like, I'm just going to start my YouTube channel because I saw when I first get into it, I saw Alan and Connor and Justin, everyone that was out there putting out content. I was like, that seems like fun. There's like this camaraderie as community. It seems kind of cool, right? And oh, and I can't forget too. I was watching Mr. Castleberry. I feel compelled to say his name because he's in the chat right now. Back when he was doing the do my own stuff, and like the music and the drone footage and everything, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like these are just regular people making cool videos like this. Of course, Ryan Knorr,
yeah,
right? And so I wanted to do it, and then I found out pretty quickly that putting out high quality content with really high quality, like movie quality, theatrical, whatever you want to call it, right? It's hard.
yeah,
It's really hard. It's hard to do it every week. It's hard to find, different things to talk about. And basically put out really high quality content constantly. It's really hard to be consistent with
Mm-hmm.
it, and it takes time to kind of like propel into that where you start getting a following. Because I feel like so many people go into it with the mindset of, okay, I got to get all these views and subs. I got to get to 1,000 subs as fast as I
Yeah.
can, and then kind of just mindlessly forget the rest of it. Um, and I think we're all guilty of kind of falling into that rabbit hole. But um,
100%. Yes.
basically, it started as people asked me for help, or they've asked questions, and I figured why not just make a video, and next time someone asks me questions, I can just send them a video. Right? So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
COVID helped. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I remember doing the same thing with my channel when it first started. You're chasing the. It's not like you're. I wasn't chasing it because I wanted to make a business out of it. It was more like I wonder if I can do that. Like the whole like being able to monetize a channel. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna make a ton of money. It was like, I wonder if I can hit that milestone that allows you to get monetized, like 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours. I don't know if that's still what it is, but that's what it was when I was starting my channel.
Mhm.
And it was more of like a challenge for myself. I was like, can I hit that? And I hit it, and I was like, wow, I never thought that would actually happen. Um, so yeah, that's when it can really get that's I mean, for me, that's how I got chased or stuck in that rabbit hole of trying to chase those milestones, and then you're just trying to see what you can do after that. That's what it was for me. I still never had like a desire to turn it into a business like some people and those types of things. So
And then you see what the ad revenue brings at 1,000 subscribers, and you get a wah wah.
yeah,
It's like, wow, I put in a year's worth of work to make $10 on YouTube. Um,
but
so,
it's
but I mean, it is what it is. That's not why we get into it. There are very successful YouTubers out there, and that's great. I think the fact that someone can make a living off of putting out YouTube
yeah,
content. What a time to be alive, man. When we talk to folks from the older generation who worked like a day job, and then they worked at the post office at night just to keep the lights on, and we got kids these days playing video games, uploading it to YouTube, and making six figures. I mean, it's just
yeah.
incredible.
It is pretty wild. I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. This was kind of a we for those that weren't on Brandon's. We were supposed to have this show on his channel, but we were having some technical difficulties. So we were just decided, hey, let's just put something together willy nilly and just do it on my channel. So that's what we did. So I just wanted to say thanks for everybody tuning in. Thanks to the Lawn Warrior, Super TA, always here. And so many of us, or everybody in the community's videos, he's always there. Left Tool, what's going on? Paul, thank you for coming on. I think I saw Grace Ortiz, another one. Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventures, one of the longest channels or YouTube names on YouTube. But hey,
It's got to be. It's got to be.
you got to be maxing out the characters right there, which is awesome. Um,
It's probably why he missed some spaces and some of the.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody, thanks for coming on and just hanging out with us tonight. We're just having fun talking about whatever. So,
Yeah, I always enjoy live streams, and so I wanted to do a live stream of my own and kind of get a regular schedule going. But powers that be, whether it's a crappy computer, or we all know it's not my fiber connection. We all know that. We can eliminate that from the troubleshooting. Yet, in case you're wondering, I did unplug it and plug it back in. But for whatever reason, it didn't want to work
yeah.
out. So I had some more guests lined up that were going to be on my show. Paul Castleberry was going to be my guest next week. Paul, we'll see what happens, brother. I don't know if there will be a show next week unless I can get something cooking on my computer. But um, it is what it is. Such is life. Things don't always work out as it seems. What's the saying Mike Tyson would always throw out there? You got a plan till someone punches you in the face. Right.
I It sounds
That's kind of
good to
how it
me.
goes. I didn't say it in his lateral lisp, but you
Yeah.
get it.
He
Got the plan
did
till somebody.
Brandon did make sure I knew he had fiber. And he's like, "That's not the problem."
Well, I talked about fiber all year because they dug up my yard, you know? Like this really better be something. If you guys are trashing my brand new Kentucky Bluegrass renovation, like this fiber better be something. Um, it's great. I love it. But it's definitely not the fiber. I can assure you that it's probably my 6-year-old laptop uh, that was probably the
I'm gonna
case,
say that
but
might be the bottleneck.
it could be, could be.
I did so since I haven't been making videos lately this year, aside from doing more things with my kids, homeschooling them, and those types of things, I have been doing. I'm still doing stuff in the yard. I redid my deck, refurbished it or whatever. Just various projects around the house. But when you're doing all those things, and then if you try to record it, which would have been great to record and make a video out of it, that just adds more time to it. So, um, I've still doing stuff in the yard and all that kind of stuff. If anybody's curious, I know I just haven't been sharing it and all those types of things. I have been playing a little bit more golf too, which that's
Hmm.
been fantastic. I've been working.
That's weird.
I've been
I
working my.
my phone must have been turned off
Oh,
when you were booking those tee
don't give
times.
me that.
Uh,
You're the hardest person to schedule anything with.
I am. I am. You should see our Google Calendar, that we have shared between my wife and myself. It's just like you can't even slip a credit card through, the different things that we've got going on. Anyway, go on about the golf. I'm
Yeah,
very
no,
interested to hear
it's
about it.
been great to play golf a little bit more. Just wish I could play with people, but nobody ever wants to come play with me because they always have other things to do.
Tomorrow's supposed to be nice.
Yeah, well, I have things I have to do now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And in January, golf is probably out of the question.
That's not true because
Um,
it's supposed to be like
yeah.
60 or 70 in the middle of this week, so I might go play like the front nine. I went the last time I played was it was a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, it was, end of November.
I couldn't get over how nice those Zoysia fairways were when we played by your house. They were just so thick and lustrous. I mean, and the vent track stripes.
Yep.
That's one of the few golf courses I've seen that where they have a vent track as their fairway mower. And boy, were they burnt in. I mean, those are
Yeah.
probably the most burnt in stripes I've ever seen in my life. But man, they were gorgeous.
Yep.
We actually played. I played a round of golf without you, basically because I was forced into it. My boss came into town, and and you know I hadn't met because I've been a COVID baby at this company. I got hired in the middle of COVID, so I haven't met anyone, and they're based in California. So my boss came in town to meet me for the first time. We went and played golf at Gateway National, and they have bent grass greens in St. Louis, and not just greens, fairways. And I don't know how they keep them alive, to be quite honest with you. I don't know how much water and fungicide they're using. I don't know if they're just painting them white to sleep at night because, uh, to my knowledge, bent grass does not like our climate. So for a golf course that is predominantly bent grass, it was in fantastic shape. It was the nicest course I've ever seen in person.
Really. Because we have bent grass greens, and then zoysia tee boxes and fairways, and then roughs or fescue, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Brett, what is my handicap? I don't know how to like officially calculate your handicap, but it's about a 16.
Just a wild guess.
No, I'm looking at some old like my average the last couple times on an app I use it is showing me what I'm average scores is. So I'm about a 16. I don't know if that's good,
Yeah.
bad, whatever. For how little I am able to practice and play, I'd say I do okay.
Speaking of different grass types, because I mean we can pretty much grow anything here, just not very well. You could grow Saint Aug here, you can grow Bermuda, you can grow Zoysia, you can grow bluegrass, whatever, you name it. We can grow it here. What? And this is a question I was going to ask you on my stream. So I hope you don't mind me asking here
No,
on
not at
on
all.
your stream. But if you could pick any lawn or any person to trade lawns with, who would you trade lawns with? So they get stuck with your fescue and you get their stand of turf.
So that means I get their property too, right?
No, just their
Oh, dang.
grass. Yeah, the house stays the same. You just get the grass.
Um, I'm gonna have to go uh with the lawn tools.
Okay, you're going Bermuda. See, I'm seeing a trend here with you in Bermuda. I think there's a future sales pitch with you and the missus here in the very near future. A PowerPoint
She doesn't
slide. This
like
is
how
what
it
we need
turns
from you.
brown in the when it goes dormant.
Yeah, same here. Same here. My wife does not like that. Uh, yeah, that's fair to say. That's fair to say. The lawn tools, which tool? Because I think left tool has Tahoma 31, as we mentioned before, and I don't know what Jordan has. I think it's
Well, yeah, I don't know what.
I think it's Monaco,
y-
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
If left tool's still in the chat, let us know. I think it's Monaco.
I think Aaron has the Tahoma, which I'm intrigued by that. So I think I just have to switch with Aaron since I know that's what he has.
Yeah,
Because
not
my
bad.
neighbor, who's he's the golf superintendent, he is testing and playing around with some Tahoma 31 on the golf course that he works on. Um, and obviously, him and I have talked about it, and then I have seen what I've heard. I think I've heard it on Matt's show, and I've heard the Lawn Tools talk about it. So I'm intrigued to try it out, and that'd be fun to play with.
Maybe you could do a little test plot.
So we want to do like landscape work in our backyard, and that's why like my backyard, I would renovate back there since there'd be a good area to start renovations because it's a small part of the yard. But I don't want to
Right.
do anything back there because it's just going to end up getting torn up anyway from landscape work eventually. So I was like, well, if it's
Oh, the Bermuda's not going to mind. The Bermuda doesn't care.
well,
You can tear it up; it always comes
yeah,
back.
but if I'm gonna put some good Bermuda in there, I would just wait until we're done with the landscape work and be like, hey, Terry, the backyard's torn up, so I think we just need to sod it. Some Bermuda. And then
So Brett says that Jordan has TIFF 419.
okay.
So he's got a TIFF wave variety in there, which is nice. And then I think some Monaco in spots, which is probably kind of spreading through.
So then yeah, I'll take the Tahoma 31.
Yeah, I'll take the T31 too. Yeah.
Um
Sorry, Jordan, but your brother's got a nicer lawn.
but no, that I was saying like put some sod in the backyard and then it starts creeping in the side yard.
Whoops, I dropped some
Yeah.
sprigs in the front,
Sorry.
and
I mean, I
it's a forever thing, you
well, I
know?
wouldn't even need to drop sprigs. It's just gonna grow underneath the fence because the fence, it sits right above the ground, and it's gonna crawl.
Yeah, but you'd accidentally drop some sprigs too.
I
I
mean,
mean, it would only
I
help
I
grow
would
faster,
probably
you
just,
know?
I might accidentally just put a plug in the ground. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think you might trip and fall and build a sand cap in your front yard and then sprig some Bermuda onto
Yes.
it. And I don't know what happened. The sand just, this truck was driving around the corner, just dropped all this sand in the lawn. And then I happened to be carrying some Bermuda around back. I dropped some sprigs. And all of a sudden, we have this Tahoma 31 front yard. I have no idea how this happened.
Yeah, I would. There might be some convincing because if I can show her and talk to her about how low maintenance it would be compared to what we currently have. Like, because I would, like we've already discussed, I literally would not have to apply any sort of fungicides, insecticides, maybe, but the Bermuda is just going to be a boss and grow through anything it gets,
You'd just be out there slamming
Yeah.
it with
So
ammonium
it would
sulfate.
literally just
Yeah.
be mowing, even watering. It would cut back on watering because it's not going to need as much water. So there's so many pros to it. And then I know I mentioned painting. She's like, you're not gonna paint the lawn, but
Oh, watch me.
but that could be another thing. It's like, okay, I'm taking out all these applications during the year that I'm not having to do because we have this. So this could just be an application that's just later on in the year, painting the lawn, making it look green.
So that's one of the things. The more I talk to like the sports turf managers, is turf paint is used way more than you think it is. It's something. It's they kind of use this term. We could kind of trick it with iron certain times of the year, and then other times, there's the expectation that the turf has to look a certain way, and the fields are built a certain way for player safety, right? But it has to look a certain way too. It has to have a certain aesthetic for TV.
Yeah,
People that are at the game, they want to, when they're looking at the turf, it has to be perfect, and they use turf paint a lot. There's this turf paint called Endurant, that's top of the line. It's like $100 a gallon. Um, but it's apparently the best stuff on the market. And a lot of sports turf managers use Endurant to make sure the fields look great at all times. Like right now in Kansas City, where the Chiefs are playing, they've got grow lights going at night when there's nobody there, and then they're painting with this turf paint because it's got to look good all the time. So I know for like DIYers, turf paint's kind of like taboo, right? Like, oh my God, he paints his lawn,
yeah.
that's cheating. But like the sports turf guys are like, well, it's not
That's
cheating.
what.
Like
Yeah,
we're all using.
that's what my neighbor says. He's like, you'd be surprised how many times, how much it's actually used. And he's like, you can make things look really good using it if you use some quality stuff and you know what you're doing. Because even he talked to me about Augusta. He's like, when they play down in Augusta, all of that is overseeded rye.
Yeah, all of
He
it.
said, no,
Because it's
yeah,
April.
yeah,
you
because
know.
all that everything that's all I guess traditionally warm season grass that they have on that course. But he's like, that course is overseeded heavily with rye before that tournament gets going. Because I don't even think I think they shut it down to anybody to play. I think like 6 months or so prior to the Masters even starting.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I've kind of picked up from talking to a lot of sports turf guys is when you see Augusta for 4 days, right? You see it on TV for 4 days and you think, wow, that is just amazing. That's gorgeous. The rest of the year, the other 359 days of the year, they're putting in work to get it to look that good for 4 days.
Yeah.
And as homeowners, we want our lawns to look like Augusta year round. And so when I'm staring at my dead bluegrass in August and I'm thinking like, why doesn't it look like Augusta National? Well, it's because I, for one, have no idea what I'm doing, and two, I'm not a sports turf manager or a superintendent, and I don't have the tools that Augusta National has. I don't have a tandem of 100 greens mowers and 100 other superintendents work with me to make it look that good.
Yeah,
And so those are kind of the expectations that we have, as homeowners are a little bit skewed compared to people who actually grow grass for a living.
for sure. uh,
There's Jason Sieberlich. Hey, Jason.
oh yeah. Hey, what's going on, Jason? Thanks for
Speaking of a bunch of mowers, that guy has like I don't know if you ever do you follow
I
Jason on
watched him.
Instagram?
No, I don't know who. I haven't seen him. I probably do follow him on Instagram, but I don't. I haven't been on there a lot, and I don't see everybody that I
I think he
follow.
he has almost as many mowers as the lawn tools.
Really?
Well, no, he's a close second though. When I see Jordan, he has a couple of the electric greens mowers. He's got the 1026, which is super sweet, and then a couple Greensmaster 1000s. Which, um, I mean, speaking of mowing too, this is another question I was going to ask you on the other stream. Is in the summer, it doesn't even have to be in the midsummer mow, but what is your go-to beverage post mow? Be it could be a sports drink, it could be a beer, it could be a soda, whatever the case may be. When you get done mowing all 10,000 square feet you got there with the Time Master, because we all know you're using the Time Master over the Honda these days, we can pretty much get that out of the way. What is the go-to beverage
um,
that you reach for?
I mean, it's just, good old H2O most of the time. Nice, high quality, cold H2O. I'll throw a beer in there every now and then, but usually it's just water.
Okay.
There's nothing like just, ice cold water when you're extremely thirsty. There's just, I don't know, something about it. What are you?
Whatever's closest.
Whatever's.
If you
What
know,
if it's a bottle of
usually,
urine and you didn't know it?
well, first of all, there's never going to be a bottle of urine in my garage fridge, um, so I don't have to worry about that. But usually, usually in the fridge, the garage fridge is basically like popsicles for the kids, Go-Gurt, and then beer, water, and whatever drinks we have, Capri Suns or whatever. So I usually reach for, my palate is not picky. If there's a natty light in there, I'm a reach for that. I've even been known to have a stag every once in a while. Um, you can't drink that when the temperature changes even slightly or the taste changes. I mean, it's bad. But yeah, if it's cold and wet and I just get done mowing in the middle of August, I'll take whatever I got.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably with you. I'm not extremely picky, but I usually always just have like a giant container of water that I'm sucking down.
It's true. I usually have a case of waters,
Yeah.
but my kids tend to waste those too. So sometimes we don't have them in there.
So, are you the type of guy that when you're doing a project out in the yard and it's like middle of summer, 95 degrees out, do you take breaks or does somebody have to tell you to take a break?
Someone has to tell me to
Because,
take a
yes.
break. I am, I'm that way. Like once I get fixated on a project, it's hard for me to step away from it, and I also lose track of time. It's kind of like live streaming. You look down, and you're like, oh my God, I've been doing this for 2 hours. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Same way, I'd be out there with my leveling rake, you know, smoothing out the lawn. It's almost like planing the lawn with sand. And someone will come out the front door and be like, "Hey, it's 100 degrees out here. You need to take a drink break. Come get some water." And I will have no idea that it's been half the day's gone. It's just a mental thing, I guess.
Well, that's what um like I can recall there's several times where I've just been working outside during those times and I will work myself to where like if I don't sit down I might pass out. Or I've cuz I remember at the old house I was doing I think it was September something, beginning of September I was doing seeding in the backyard. And there was a lot to do back there. I had in my head before starting it was like, "Oh, I can easily get this done today. Like this I can get all this done back here in the backyard, I'll be done." And I mean, I got everything done that I needed to get done, but I remember finishing up and I went inside and I was like I was spacey. I had to go like sit down in the bathroom and just like take a chill pill. It was bad because I was out there and I didn't take breaks to eat anything or really drink much of anything. So I'm just like, probably close to a heat stroke.
So
Um,
I think Brett's trolling. He says room temp water is the
Technically
best.
it is.
Well, yeah, it's best for you, but is it what you want? No, it's not. You don't want room temp water.
No,
It's better for your
I think he's
stomach.
referring to what science says as far as like room temperature water is actually better for you when you're hot and sweaty than ice cold water
True.
is.
It is. It is. It's the better option for
Yeah.
you. But is that really what you want? Mentally, you want ice cold water. And I'll tell you, like the best thing in the world. I don't know if you guys have the Yeti tumblers, but like when you wake up in the morning and you reach for the water that's on the nightstand in the Yeti, it still has ice in it. It's literally the best feeling in the world when you have ice cold water and you wake up. I don't know about you, but that's how I am.
To each their own. I don't know. I don't. I have.
Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. It's very satisfying to wake up to ice cold water.
He said 100%. That's what I prefer.
Oh, it's not just a preference, or not just science. It's a preference.
I don't necessarily like super cold stuff, like because I don't know. I guess like it doesn't. It's not as refreshing sometimes, just because it's just so cold. There is kind of like it's too cold, or whatever. Well, now we're getting way too much in the weeds with
Yeah, we're
the
getting wrapped on the
temperature
axle
of
with water.
water. uh, oh boy,
Did you know that Bush Stadium has a
is this about
um,
water again?
it is about water. The the irrigation at Bush Stadium is actually is temperature controlled.
Really, what is the point of that?
Well, 'cause you know it gets really hot here, right?
Right.
Uh, and they're growing Kentucky bluegrass in Bush Stadium
Okay.
on a sand cap. The irrigation water in Bush Stadium is chilled to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. My assumption there, they didn't really get into to why. They just mentioned that the irrigation's chilled to keep the temperature of the soil
Sure.
medium down, so that the grass. There's so many things I've learned going through sports turf, and the reason why, like, you wonder, like, how do they make it look so good? I don't get it. Why does it look so good? Mine looks so bad, and you realize, oh wow, yeah, they're really going to the extremes to where they have thousands of gallons of water that are chilled to 41 degrees that they're watering with, that you can't do
That's
that
wild.
here
I
at your
did
house.
not know that.
What's in the bag for behind Brandon? Okay. Um,
What's in the...
got some Titleist AP2 irons. Are we focused? That's the one thing I hate about this Panasonic camera is the autofocus is terrible. There we go. Got some Titleist irons. Um, these clubs are really old, so don't don't be too impressed. Got the old tried and true Odyssey 2-ball putter, black edition, midnight
Are those
edition.
the clubs you used when we played?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was a time when I was playing a lot of golf, and I told myself, I think I'm ready to step up to some bladed irons. And boy, was that a mistake because I was not ready for it. And then right around the time I bought them, I stopped playing golf as much. And then I just got the old this driver is probably about 15 years old. It's the old Cleveland high bore. Nothing really special. Nothing too crazy.
They're fancier clubs than mine.
Yeah, and you play better than I do. Imagine that.
I don't have a bag to share anything
That's
with.
it. That's a what's in the bag.
I got a bird feeder. I got a
You got some drills and stuff.
I got a my this is my favorite water rain gauge.
That thing's pretty
Yeah,
serious.
this is the serious rain gauge. Oh, that reminds me. You were talking about the what is it? The bee, your irrigation thing,
The beehive.
beehive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the ratio I think can tell you how much it's rained if you have, because you can buy like a thing that sits on your gutter or whatever, and it'll measure the rain. It's all part of some of the things, the add-ons you can get with ratio. But I also know it can communicate with other ratios in the area, and if those ratios have those add-ons, it's using all that data. I don't use it. I really just use the ratio for the bare minimum stuff. I'm just telling it when to water. I don't use it for all the fancy things it can do, because I don't find it to be. Uh, I think you have to really, really have to dial it in for it to be super accurate, because it wants to know like how much sunlight each area of the lawn gets, and how is it sloped, and all of those types of things, and is it a clay, or I don't know. So because when I've done that before, it sets up the watering zones for like 10 minutes at a time. Like, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, no, no thanks. That's not doing anything.
So
That's just enough time to get the grass wet. And here, that's no
yeah,
good. We don't
so
want that.
I've never really, I mean, maybe I'm just not doing it right. So I haven't played with it anymore, but since I have this rain gauge, I mean, I look at this all the time during the growing season, even when we get the smallest amount of rain. That way I know exactly, did we get enough rain? No. Okay, we need to water. So I like doing it because I have a lot more control over it that way, and I'm capable of controlling it that way and just knowing. So the only downside is if I'm out of town, then I don't know. I have no way of knowing if we actually got rain or anything like that, or how much rain. So
Yeah, with the bluegrass, I've learned to just I got to hammer it with water no matter what, no matter how much it rains. You got to get water on it. If you go too long, it's like the behavior of the grass is everything looks fine until it's not, and then all of a sudden it just takes a nosedive, and then that's you're in trouble, and you're too far gone.
I didn't realize everybody was talking golf in the chat.
Yeah, Jason says so. The AP2s, actually, the AP2s have been around a long time. It's like he was working in a golf store at the time. The thing about the AP2s, they are nice when you do make solid contact. They are not very forgiving whatsoever. So if you don't make good contact with the ball, you have no idea where it's going, and you have no idea how far it's going. That's my gripe with them. Other than that, they're sweet. When you hit a shot pure, it feels like, it's a sensation that you just have never felt before.
I didn't know Brett played much. I've been seeing his stories on Instagram, like he was hitting into the net and stuff like that. I didn't know he played.
Yeah, they do. The bluegrass does go dormant for about a month. January, about usually end of December, January, it'll really be dormant completely until probably end of February. It starts to wake up. The bluegrass loves the cold, just does not like the heat. But yeah, I mean, obviously Brett loves golf. He's got a putting green in his
Well, no,
backyard
I knew
now.
he did that.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't know if he was doing it because it was fun to do, or if he was doing it because plays golf and likes golf. Because I mean, I don't know. I just didn't know that. I can't claim I know Brett well enough to say that I knew he liked golf. So that's cool. Yeah, the fescue is here. It's dormant. I said I think that has to do with some of the lack of late fertilizing I did and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I've noticed all the fescue lawns around me have just this week have really started to check out, and the bluegrass is still pretty green. It'll probably hang on, as long as it stays warm like this, it'll probably hang on. The sunlight hours are dwindling more and
Yeah,
more, and we're at a growth potential. I think the last time I checked uh, on my spreadsheet is like 8%. So it's not growing. It's just sitting
sure,
there.
sure.
Uh, Eventually, just gonna go night night.
um, well, so Brandon, on your live streams, do you? I mean, you're gonna try to get those going. Is that your ultimate goal?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to go to Best Buy and drop a couple $1,000s on a computer in order to do it. Totally justifiable, right?
I mean, sounds good to me.
If anyone's tossing out a MacBook anytime soon, let me know. I'd be happy to take it off your hands. I've needed to update for a long time actually, so this is something that's overdue. Um, yeah, I do plan to continue doing live streams if I can, technically if I can pull it off. I do have some guests lined up potentially if I'm going to do that. Paul Castleberry will be my next guest next week, and then after that we'll have dadding all day, and then the neighbor dominator after that. Once we kind of get back after the holidays, so we'll take a couple weeks off and then come back after the holidays. So that got a couple people lined up, and then from there, I was just going to say that if anybody wants to come on the show, just let me know, and we'll get you down on the schedule, and we'll talk about everything. That was the whole idea behind the channel is, or not the channel, but the live stream is, I think at this point, we all know what's going on in everybody's lawns, but as creators and people, I just kind of want to learn more about everybody in the community, their daily lives, what do they like to do, ask some silly questions, and just have some fun with it.
Yeah, that sounds great. That's I like that. It reminds me of I mean, it was their show wasn't specifically like this, but it was on Turf Therapy's channel. It was him, Cameron, Polo, girl Pam from Girls Lawns.
We working.
Yeah, and they
We
had
working.
Matt
Yeah.
on, and it was really refreshing because I caught like the last 10 minutes of it. I didn't get to watch all of it, so I don't know what the entire show was about. But the last couple minutes, they were building each other up. They were talking about what like girl Pam from Girls Lawns. She was talking about some channels. I don't remember the name of the channel. About this girl, the lady. It was a woman in the lawn care stuff doing videos like we all do, but just trying to encourage more women to start making videos and stuff like that. And they were just talking about other things as well, just kind of building each other up and everything. And that was just really refreshing. I don't know. I thought that was really cool. And I think just doing more shows like that and doing more um, what you're doing with getting to know people in a different way from other than just mowing the lawn or stuff like that. I don't know. I think that's going to be a really good just show and just refreshing to hear that kind of stuff rather than maybe some of the same old.
In theory, right? If I can actually get it
You'll
to
get it to
work, and
work.
that was the kind of whole play on the whole water cooler thing, right? In a world where people used to actually go to an office, you'd hang around the water cooler and you'd just talk about small talk about
Yeah.
whatever, right? How's the family? How's this going? What'd you shoot, on Saturday? And just kind of build it around that, and then add in some kind of off the cuff questions about, hey, if you could trade lawns with anybody, who would it be? Or, if you had to stick with any grass type forever, kind of like boilerplate questions like that. It's fun to hear, people's responses to those sorts of things because you get different responses from everybody. That's one of the things I really liked about the LT turf. If you could pick anyone to manage your lawn, who would it be? And you're kind of like, oh man, well, you got to take a lot of things into consideration. Who knows my turf? Whose equipment do I want used on my lawn? Those sorts of things. I always thought about like watching those episodes, like, who would I want to come manage my lawn? If I couldn't do it, if I had to will my lawn to somebody, who would it be, right? And so those types of questions I always find to be entertaining. So I kind of wanted to tie that into
I
that.
would probably change my. I think didn't they ask an answer or a question about like if what's your top favorite uh YouTube channel that's not lawn care? Didn't they ask something like that?
I don't I think they asked who your favorite lawn care
Yeah,
channel
maybe it was lawn
was,
care.
and everybody would kind of dwell on it for a minute, and
Right.
Jordan would start to
Yeah,
sweat,
yeah.
because you didn't say the lawn
Right.
tools right away, and some people would purposely kind of like drag him, oh, I kind of like Pete, Pete's nice, and Al's good, and Brett's Utah lawn was super nice. I like Brett, and then Jordan would be, well,
Yeah.
like kind of clearing the throat,
Yeah. Well,
so.
that would be a good question though to ask like what's some other favorite YouTube stuff you like to watch that's not lawn care related?
Um, uh, Honestly, outside of like lawn care content, I don't really watch much unless it's something I'm trying to do like in the moment. Like
Sure.
if I'm trying to, you know, switch out a three-way electrical switch or something and I can't figure it out, I'm YouTubing that. So I guess it's comes down to, what project am I in the middle of? Because I'm not, I don't have a lot of time to just sit around and watch YouTube, with my work schedule, busy life, and kids and the whole thing. It's the kids still own my TV at this point, so I don't get to watch what I want to watch ever, and I'm constantly running around trying to keep everything in order. So
Sure.
maybe at some point I'll be able to like sit down and like find some content that I enjoy because I like cars, I like golf. I would love to watch content, all that stuff. I just don't have time for it.
So I
What about
I
you?
watch I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do watch I because YouTube I can watch just like while I'm on the go or doing something or whatever. But I this kind of stuff I don't know if I like it because it's like it reminds me of like my childhood or whatever. But there's a channel called 3D Bot Maker, and they race Hot Wheels. And their production level is so awesome. Like you feel like you're tuning into an actual like real race because they commentate on it all, and it just like how they and the track is actually a built-in track that's that they like the all the those fake buildings, like the small miniature buildings and trees and stuff. They make a whole set like that. So and they are recording on that. So it's not like you can see the makings or like the the raw set itself. They record, so all you're seeing is their built set and everything. It's so cool. I don't know. That may be a
It does sound pretty neat. I wish I had that much time on my hands.
hey. I didn't
You know?
say I watch it all the time. I just said it.
No, no, no. I'm talking about to put
Oh,
together
oh
something
yeah,
to
yeah,
that magnitude, to film it,
yeah,
edit it. I mean, you think about, I mean, just the amount of hours you put into, at least for myself, right? From the time I begin filming to finish editing one of my mediocre at best YouTube videos, it's probably 6 hours of work, right?
yeah.
Think about what it would take to do something with that kind of production value. You have to be doing it full time at that point, eight
Oh, for
hours a day
sure,
or
for
more.
sure. These guys. This channel has like 620,000
Oh yeah, those guys are
subscribers.
doing just fine.
I'm gonna put their channel in the chat. If you guys are interested, you should just go check it out. Watch one of their videos and be like, these guys are. It's pretty cool. And you have to think like these guys have a ton of time on their hand, and they more than likely do because this is what they're doing.
And now everybody's going to be up till 2 a.m. watching 3D pot maker videos
Watching
because
diecast sport car racing. Yeah, it's pretty cool because I don't know if they still do it, but their viewers could actually send in Hot Wheels for them to race in the races they do because they do like tournaments, and they have it's called King of the Mountain, and then they have a rally race as well. It's just it's pretty ridiculous. It's fun.
what's interesting to me is I feel like people like in general are watching YouTube more than ever,
Oh
like more than like what's on TV programming. My kids will, and we pay for Disney Plus and all these other streaming platforms. They'll skip all those and go straight to
yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
and say, well, why are we paying for all this stuff? I pay for cable. Um, I say that, I'm dating myself. We pay for cable TV, and we pay for these streaming services, and they could care less. They want the free YouTube content.
Yeah. No, it definitely is a more and more people are watching stuff on YouTube or wherever. Well, Brandon, I do look forward to your streams once you get those up and going, which you will.
We'll see. You might have a little more gray in your beard by that time.
Maybe.
But
I'm
we'll
always. You
see.
can always call me. I can be your support, your tech support.
You have been to this point. You got me to water, but I can't figure out how to drink at this point. But we'll definitely get there. If I can figure it out, we'll have Mr. Paul Castleberry on next week, and we'll talk about a thing or two. So, but thanks for doing the impromptu show on your channel. I had a good time. It's good in the off season to connect with people and have a conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this, even though I wasn't expecting to do it. It's been real. But in more than anything, I've been wanting to like catch up with you a little bit, and this is just a good way to hang out and catch up and whatever.
We can't play golf. We might as well live
Yeah,
stream. Yeah.
we can find an hour to live stream, Ben, but I can't play golf with you. Which makes sense because we're doing this at night and we can't play golf at night anyway.
Yeah, it's dark outside.
So
yeah, unless we play glow ball. But anyway.
All right. Yeah, but everybody, thanks for coming on tonight and just hanging out on this last minute show. Do go over and get on whenever Brandon gets his shows going. Go check it out, and we'll all hang out with him and give him a hard time in the chat. Because it'd be fun to do that. So hope everybody has a great weekend and a great evening. And we will catch you guys later.
Bye.